Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, a show celebrating and questioning one of the most beloved entertainment companies in the world through honest, passionate, and clear-eyed Disney discussions. I'm Jeff DePauli, your entertainment-obsessed host with rose-colored glasses removed. Today in the show, we have the House of Mouse headlines brought to you by LaughingPlace.com, your up-to-date resource for the latest Disney news every day of the week. This episode is being released on May 18th, 2022, and here's what's been going on in the world of Disney recently. The latest plans for Epcot's transformation, the return of Tale of the Lion King at the Disneyland Resort, paid Fast Pass coming to Tokyo, and more.
Hear the latest news from the Walt Disney Company in today's House of Mouse headlines.
In celebration of Disneyland Paris' 30th anniversary, the resort recently partnered with the city of Paris to light up one of the most iconic structures in the world. Recently, Disneyland Paris invited 30 guests to witness as Mickey Mouse lit the Eiffel Tower and the 30th celebration's iridescent colors of blues, purples, and pinks. With this podcast being an audio medium, you'll definitely want to check out the video of this magical moment on the Disneyland Paris YouTube channel. The paid Fast Pass trend is coming to the Tokyo Disney Resort. On May 19th, the resort will introduce a new option called Disney Premiere Access, which is the same name used for a similar service at Disneyland Paris. Premiere Access will initially be available for two popular attractions, Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast at Tokyo Disneyland, and Soaring Fantastic Flight at Tokyo Disney Sea. Reservations for these attractions will come at a cost of 2,000 yen per access, which is approximately $15.50 USD. With the arrival of Premiere Access, the former standby pass for Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast and Soaring Fantastic Flight is no longer offered, but the normal standby line will continue to be available for both. A popular offering at Aulani, a Disney resort and spa, is readying its return. Auntie's Beach House, which features fun and adventure for children 5 to 12 years old, will reopen on May 25th. At Auntie's Beach House, children can find rooms dedicated to different activities, including a movie room, computer lab, arts and crafts studio, and a game room. Parents can reserve a playtime between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. daily for secured children's programming. During these hours, parents may select 1.5 hours of playtime for complimentary themed activities on Uncle's side of the house, or 2 hours on Auntie's side of the house for premium activities. Reservations can be made up to 2 weeks in advance by visiting the Auntie's Beach House webpage at DisneyAulani.com. With May being Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the Disneyland Resort is celebrating these vibrant and diverse cultures in an even bigger way this month through music, art, and a variety of enchanting experiences. In the downtown Disney district, guests can find performances from Fava, the Philharmonic, Tupua, and Chinese cultural splendor on select days and times. Additionally, at Wonderground Gallery, artists Jared Maruyama, Joey Chu, Ann Shen, and June Kim will autograph their pieces and share the inspiration behind their work from 3 to 5 p.m. on May 21st and 22nd. Nearby at the Disneyland Hotel, guests can listen to ukulele music nightly and take a complimentary hula lesson on weekends at Trader Sam's Enchanted Tiki Bar. In the parks, Disney California Adventure features a limited-time Turning Red photo op near Pixar Pier. Lastly, at Disneyland Park, those strolling down Main Street, USA, can stop to see the Children's Day window display outside the Emporium. While this holiday is celebrated by many cultures, the window pays homage to the Japanese Children's Day celebrated annually on May 5th, where families display koinobori, also known as carp streamers, to symbolize determination and success, and ornamental kabuto helmets to represent wishes for strength and vitality. More details on these AANHPI Heritage Month offerings can be found on the Disney Parks blog. And apologies if I mispronounced any of that. With the arrival of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in theaters, the Disneyland Resort has introduced a new way for guests to enhance their web-slinging experience aboard the resort's newest attraction using the new Mystic Amplifier Web Tech attachment. When used on web slingers, riders may notice their webs resemble the portals Doctor Strange is famous for. Even when not on the ride, the attachment uses a spinning fan to project similar portal lighting and designs. These Mystic amplifiers are now available in Avengers Campus at Disney California Adventure. The Disneyland Resort has teased the return of the red car trolley at Disney California Adventure. In a TikTok video posted to the Disney Parks account, it was announced that the offering would be put back into service this summer. If you'll recall, the red car trolley originally debuted in 2012 along with the arrival of Buena Vista Street, but the transportation was paused to accommodate Avengers Campus construction. While no exact reopening date has been announced, stay tuned for more updates on this long-awaited return. After appearing in New York City, Houston, and San Antonio, Pixar Putt is now popping up in the Windy City. Starting on May 28th and running through August 21st, Pixar Putt will take up residence at 600 East Grant Ave in Chicago. Featuring 18 interactive holes inspired by such Pixar films as Toy Story, Coco, A Bug's Life, Inside Out, and WALL-E, the pop-up offers fun for the whole family. For tickets to the Chicago edition or to keep up with where it's headed next, be sure to visit pixarputt.com. Last week, the Walt Disney Company announced its second quarter earnings, which included the news that there are now 137.7 million paid Disney Plus subscribers worldwide. That figure exceeded estimates and comes after rival Netflix actually reported a subscriber loss last quarter. When you combine the total number of subscribers from Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, it now comes to 205 million, while Netflix has 221 million. Disney is also hoping to add subscribers when it introduces a new ad-supported tier later this year, although no launch date or pricing info has been revealed just yet. I'm most curious to see whether or not the folks who signed up for the 3-year plan at the last D23 Expo will renew, or if we'll see a large dip in subscribers. Although, when you're talking about in the hundreds of millions, a convention center worth of people shouldn't make too big of a dent. The off-Broadway stage production Trevor the Musical is coming to Disney+. A filmed version of the show will begin streaming on Friday, June 24th. Trevor the Musical is based on the 1995 Academy Award-winning short film Trevor, which also inspired the Trevor Project, which is the world's largest suicide prevention and mental health organization for the LGBTQ community. The musical, produced by Radical Media, follows a 13-year-old on a journey of self-discovery. After having an embarrassing incident at school, Trevor now must find the courage to find his own path. While the show closed in December 2021, you can experience it for yourself on Disney Plus this Pride Month. And now it's time to bring back Kyle Burbank from laughingplace.com. How's it going, Kyle?
It's going well, Jeff. How about you?
It's pretty good. It feels like forever ago, though, since I've seen you. These last 2 weeks have been very long in my life, apparently.
They have. I feel like I've been all over the place. I went to the Sneakerella Premiere in New York, and now I'm hanging out with a friend up in Canada. So,
how was Sneakerella?
It's fun. I think so. I will say that the songs were more memorable on the second go round. There's some things about it I like. It does slow down a bit in the middle, but overall, I think it's fun. It's somewhere between a DCOM and a theatrical release. So I think that's what Disney Plus is. I think it's worth a watch, especially if you have kids. And like I said, some of the songs didn't exactly stick the first time, but I actually saw it twice, and the second time, I appreciated them a lot more.
Did you see Better Nate Than Never?
I still haven't seen that one. No,
that one's cute. That one, I would say same thing. Like I watched, it, like it's cute. It's a DCOM, but a little higher budget perhaps, and. That's, it's like you said, it's the Disney Plus way. It feels like that's kind of the direction that they're heading. Because not everything can be like cinema budget sort of stuff, which we get with like Star Wars and stuff. But yeah, cool. Well, excellent. Glad you got to go do that. But let's talk about Mr. Chapek, shall we? Because Disney CEO and Indiana University alum Bob Chapek spoke at the school's undergraduate ceremony as the commencement speaker. Now, this is not exactly news or anything super riveting that we would typically cover here, but I would say a huge mistake was made. Some would say a very small mistake was made in his speech, where he called Walt Disney World the happiest place on Earth instead of the most magical place on Earth. Which, listen, is it a big deal? I mean, if you're the CEO of a company, I feel like it's a big deal. And also, like, this was in a written speech? How did this happen?
I mean, it's a good question. I will admit, when I woke up and I saw our tweet about this, and at first I was like, well, yeah, of course he did. Oh, wow. Yeah. He mentioned Walt Disney World in his speech. And then I was like, oh, no, I get what you're saying. So, like, I would totally make the same mistake, but apparently it's worse for people that it's more recognizable for people who go to Walt Disney World more often now because they have a whole song singing about the most magical place on earth over and over. But at first glance, I didn't catch it. But I'm also not the CEO of the company.
Yeah, that's the thing that is like repeatedly we're being shown over and over and over again how out of touch with the company the man is. And it's really, how long can this go on is what it feels like. And apparently the answer is like forever because nothing seems to get done over anything. I don't know. That's mind boggling to me that happened. And I get it. In retrospect, it's like, it's not a huge deal. But like you said, he's the CEO of the company, and this wasn't an off-the-cuff remark. This was a written speech that I'm going to assume somebody had to approve. It's mind-blowing to me. But I will read a passage from it because I actually thought this was a nice passage. Mr. Chapek, if you're listening, and or whoever wrote this, quote, "Division is now the defining feature in our imperfect but extraordinary country. Social media gives everybody an outlet for expression, but somehow adding voices hasn't expanded understanding," Chapek said. "Rather, the national conversation has been twisted to further divide people, to send them to their separate corners, and to prevent us from finding common ground. Cynicism is driving disengagement and, most tragically, suppressing the most critical of human traits, empathy." I just thought that was a nice passage, so I thought I'd read it instead of just crapping on him the whole time.
Look at you, Jeff. So mature.
Yeah, super mature. That's me. No, I think that's actually a really important passage and a very sad, real look at the state of the world in this country. But yeah, it's not the happiest place on earth. It's the most magical place on earth. So there we go. Shall we move on?
Sure.
Let's move on because more details about the new Phantasmic sequence coming to Disney's Hollywood studios has been revealed. What we don't know is there's still no reopening date for this. And this is something that feels like it's been closed for a very long time. But Walt Disney World has announced that the show will make its return with a new show sequence featuring Disney characters such as Mulan, Elsa, Aladdin, Pocahontas, and Moana. Now, I don't think it's been publicly said, but I think the general understanding is this is taking over the Pocahontas segment, right?
It might have been announced somewhere, and I think they actually phrased it to say, still Pocahontas. So I think maybe that's where it's coming from. But yeah, I think anyone could have guessed from the start that it would be replacing the Pocahontas sequence, which is fine with me because I've never been a big fan of that sequence. So...
yeah, it's really interesting because, listen, everybody always says Disneyland's Fantasmic is better. And it is. I don't disagree. But there are things about the Walt Disney World Fantasmic that I do like. Like, I love the fact that so many more villains are part of it. And I've always loved that about it. But I'm excited to see it get an update. I honestly haven't seen Fantasmic at Walt Disney World in years. And it used to be like an every time I go sort of situation. Like I would camp out for Fantasmic. I sat through pouring rain for Fantasmic once. And I haven't seen it in so long because they kept adding nighttime spectaculars. Like Star Wars The Galactic Spectacular was such a big deal. And it was like you pick one or the other. You weren't getting both. And so I kept going to see the newer stuff. And because of that, it's been a good chunk of time since I've seen Phantasmic at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
That's a really good point. For me, it's probably been about like 8 or 9 years.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm excited about the return of it. And, now that there's new stuff in it, even more reason to go back and revisit it. The one thing they're not talking about, and this is kind of mind-blowing to me, if this isn't being updated, we haven't heard anything about the dragon.
Yeah, you have to imagine they're doing something, but I guess it's easier to just, if you don't have to promote that as being the centerpiece of it, then I guess why would you? But I guess that could be a nice surprise or something, a nice thing that they mention like later on, be like, oh, in addition to this new sequence, we're also upgrading the dragon and some other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, my thought is maybe, I don't know if you remember, but the summer that the dragon premiered here at Disneyland.
Oh, I remember it very well.
Yeah.
It was my first viral tweet was when it finally appeared.
Oh, okay, there we go. So yeah, it took like months for them to figure it out and get it to work. And some of
yeah.
It was part of Summer Night-tastic at the Disneyland Resort.
And didn't it actually debut on like the last night or even like a couple nights after summer?
Yeah, it was pretty late. And so maybe they're just...
Well, technically it debuted on time, but then promptly broke.
Did it actually debut like one day?
I think so. I don't remember.
I remember the day.
Like
No. I remember this for certain. The day it was supposed to debut, I was getting ready to head down to Disneyland, like after work, to see it. And I remember like going into somebody's office and them being like, "Oh, I heard the Dragon isn't premiering tonight." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "I'm literally just about to get in my car and like head down to Disneyland." They're like, "Oh, well, don't, because it's not working." So maybe it did at one point, and then I don't know, but
maybe it was a rehearsal, but it definitely broke because I remember hearing that it's like
it lunged forward, right? It like came off the, I don't know, that dragon was a mess. In any case, the dragon's amazing. I hope it ends up at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Maybe they're just not going to say anything in case they run into the same troubles. They don't have to like backtrack. And
I hope they'd have it fixed after a decade.
I like don't count on it.
Murphy.
I wouldn't count. I mean, I hear there's trouble with the Ratatouille ride in Epcot. Why? It's been open for many years overseas. Like, stuff like that shouldn't break down. It's been open for many years.
Us Americans cannot handle the ride.
Write those letters to Kyle. That offensive accent.
Why you think I have this outrageous accent?
Amazing. So yes, there's that. And yeah, hopefully it comes back. But we're getting new stuff. And I think even more exciting than like new segments is just the new technology, because Disney's Hollywood Studios was not as good at keeping up with tech for that show as Disneyland was. So it was it closed because of pandemic, but I'm happy that they're taking the time to fix it up and, make it 21st century ready. So that's happening. Then let's talk about something equally as exciting, he says facetiously. Parking lot trams are returning to Disney's Animal Kingdom on May 27th. This is not a very big story other than I wanted to mention we're still waiting for trams? What? This is still news?
It's halfway through the year and we're made it to a whole 2 parks.
Honestly, this kind of blew my mind. And now that I think of it, it really was not that long ago that we got them back at Disneyland. But I can't believe that
It was February. It's still been a few months. And Magic Kingdom was before that. And they said they're going to be rolling out to the other ones. So yeah, it's definitely a slow rollout.
I mean, super, super slow. They got the senior citizens of Florida driving the trams very slowly. But
the parking lot is 14 miles per hour? So.
Well, here's the thing that's blowing my mind is these are not small parking lots. These aren't even parking structures with escalators. That's the one thing whenever I go to Florida, I'm always shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are giant parking lots out in the beating sun. And it's a long distance to walk. I'm kind of in shock, and I get it. I'm going to assume this is number one, they've realized people will walk and they're saving money by not having them, but also the employment issue is still a problem. But I don't know, this seems crazy to me that Disney's Hollywood Studios and Epcot still don't have it, and Disney's Animal Kingdom is only just getting it back at the end of this month. Crazy.
Yeah, I wonder what, obviously the parking lots are always fairly full, but I wonder what makeup of the people parking and going to the park are. You'd imagine that they want the majority of people to be resort guests, and so they're taking buses. So I wonder if it's mostly just annual pass holders who are parking in the lots, or what other reasons people have for...
I think there are a lot of people staying off site. I mean, there's no way that even if every single room at Walt Disney World was full, the parks wouldn't be packed. They certainly count on people from outside coming in. And I mean, these are people who are also paying a hefty fee to park if you don't have an annual pass. So you're paying, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's probably around $30 to park. And then you're being told, and you have a 1.5 mile walk to the front gate of the park. That's crazy.
I don't think it's that far. I hope it's not that far. I don't think...
Epcot's parking lot is I think the second largest parking lot in the world or something like that, I've heard.
That's true. So I thought the same thing. I was a little surprised that they're going to Animal Kingdom first instead of Epcot, where it seems more of a need. But maybe they just have enough parking that they can park people closer without reaching capacity. I don't have any idea.
I don't know, but let's get it back soon. We should not be celebrating the return of parking trams. This is not
On TikTok. No, actually, this one wasn't TikTok. Never mind.
This is just a requirement. We're paying to park, please. Let's move on to some actual exciting news, and that is that Epcot has shared new concept art for the World Celebration area. This new area will offer a beautiful hub divided into several different gardens with a central planter based on the 5-ring Epcot logo. Additionally, World Celebration will be home to Communicore Hall and Communicore Plaza. Communicore Hall will host a festival programming area and will be built to include an exhibition space, a demonstration kitchen, a mixology bar, and more. This is interesting to me because, like, festival stuff has always been World Showcase, and now they're moving it. I guess they're just expanding it to the entire park now, but it's kind of interesting. It's getting closer to the front.
Well, the festival center was Wonders of Life.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So that's kind of replacing this. But yeah, the show element, like you're saying, like Eat to the Beat and stuff was always at America Garden. So if they're moving all of that to this, I think that's interesting because it says it can handle like multiple sizes of shows. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that is the plan.
Back outside at Communicore Plaza, they'll have the flexibility to host intimate musical performances that extend out into the nearby gardens, as well as large-scale concerts. This made me think of like the Disney Parks holiday concerts that we see on TV, where they always have those little performances near Spaceship Earth, and I kind of feel like they're setting themselves up to do that year-round and really easily when it comes to TV production.
That's a good point. Something that they definitely hadn't thought of. I was just wondering if this would be like additional entertainment to World Showcase or separate, but that's a really good point as well.
And the gardens in the area will also evolve with the seasons and will find new life at night as lighting immerses guests in an evening experience. I love what they're doing with this area visually. Like, the addition of the extra lights on Spaceship Earth and just at the entrance and stuff. The more lighting we can get in there, the better. And it's just the most beautiful park icon ever. So, like, I think it's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty. But I think, that 2-story thing that they showed the concept art for was just so interesting. And so, like, it's annoying for like the third time in a row be like, oh, we're putting in more green space. You can connect with nature. It's like, okay, That's not the solution for everything. Like, I appreciate that. In like a downtown Disney maybe, or even like the Toontown thing, fine. But it's like, again, like I said, this is 3 in a row now. And then also lately, there's this thing, especially with Epcot, where there's a difference between honoring the past and incorporating elements of that in like a significant and actual way, and then just pandering. And I think the design here with like the rings, I think that's cool. I think that works well. And bringing back like the lighting on the ground. Mm-hmm. But naming it Communicore, that's pretty pandering. And if I may, can we talk some light Q spoilers for Cosmic Rewind?
Sure. Oh, so you did Rewind?
I haven't, but I've seen a little thing from the Q.
Okay, I haven't watched anything, but sure, go ahead.
Well, there's a part where Chris Pratt, or Star-Lord, mentions like veggie, fruit, and her wants to ride Horizons, and it's just like, you think you're being clever, but it's just pandering.
We knew that they were going to do that, though. Like, they did it even at the expo when they were talking about that attraction when they first announced it. Like, you could tell they were going to try and throw... I mean, because, listen, they have to shoehorn that attraction into that park. It doesn't make sense. That is not the best place for that attraction. They just needed that attraction there. So they're like, well, how can we make it fit? And that was their solution. So... I'm not going to say I love it, but it also is not unexpected as far as I'm concerned. People love the ride, though. I've been really kind of avoiding spoilers in general, but people seem to really like it. But yes, you're right. This is the green space thing is becoming a common thing with, green space is cheap, right? My bigger argument, other than like it even being the 3rd time in a row, as you said, is if there's one park that needed less green space, it's Epcot. Like, Epcot has a ton of green space already, which I love, by the way. I think it's beautiful, but, like, we don't need more of it.
Yeah, I think the building would have been cooler because it probably, well, first of all, it's literally cooler because it's a building with air conditioning above something you can stand and have shade. So, yeah, I feel like just being like, oh yeah, here's a big open space in Epcot for you to get rained on when it storms.
And you're talking about the festival center, right? It was supposed to be 2 floors. I think now it's 1, right?
Well, I guess it is 1. Yeah, it's probably whatever Communicore Hall is. But yeah, if you look at the old thing, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Tony Stark's Malibu house.
Okay.
Just the way it kind of hung over the cliff there. But I thought that looked pretty cool. We hadn't heard anything about it. And then
Budget cuts.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that the Dreamers Point statue, even though you can't really see it in the concept art, they say it's still happening. It's a little unclear exactly where it is, but that's still happening. So the Walt statue is still going in.
You know what else is often hard to see in the concept art at Epcot because it's quite frankly not there?
The Harmonious barges.
Yeah, the huge Harmonious barges in any concept art that you see. You're like, oh, no. You folks destroyed that view. You own that now. So put it in there, please.
Put the tacos in.
Put the digital tacos in, absolutely. Alrighty, let's move on because Disney has revealed Batuu Bounty Hunters and other MagicBand Plus interactivity. A new game accessed via MagicBand Plus and the Play Disney Parks app will soon be available, and guests can enjoy Batuu Bounty Hunters while inside Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Guests use their MagicBand Plus to find numerous virtual bounties hidden throughout Black Spire Outpost. Guests will follow the band's light patterns and haptics to complete their mission. Then they'll return to the local guide master who will reward them with galactic credits, and guests can use the Play Disney Parks mobile app to help them reveal their virtual bounty using the app's built-in augmented reality thermal viewer. Who buys into this?
I think it sounds fun, but I don't.
No,
know,
it's fun,
like,
but it's as fun as Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom and stuff like that, where it was like free. So I want to know who buys into this.
Well, it depends on how much the bands are. I mean, we're talking the ones that were accidentally sold were sold at $30 a pop, which is actually cheaper than a lot of specialty Magic bands. So I don't know if that's the actual price because it's very possible they thought they were regular Magic bands and just put them out at that normal price. But if it's in that realm, like I don't see any reason why you wouldn't opt for this. Like I don't think if it is the $30, I don't think
that's right.
I don't think it's right either.
Yeah, I think it's probably
be
between 50 and 75 is my guess.
I hope not, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, no, it's my guess. I don't know. It's just another one of those things where like what was once free is now charged for, and that's becoming as annoying as green space, shall we say. But that's not the only thing it does. It also interacts with those Fab 50 statues. Once again, that just feels like something that at one point would have been free, and now it's like, no, buy this band. And I don't know, this tech, I'm not a gamer, so maybe this just isn't for me, but this tech doesn't excite me enough to spend additional money for it. And it's always like, it works, but it feels clunky, and like I have zero faith in the Walt Disney World app. So like anything additional, I'm just like, why? I don't know.
No, I agree. I think it'll probably be kind of cool. Like I said, I think it just depends on the price point. You're right. I don't think that it's actually going to be $30, but if it is, then that's totally reasonable because that's way less than so I don't know why.
Well, honestly, it's about the price that those glow with the show ears were, right? And those were around 25 or 30.
What's the price difference between a regular Harry Potter wand and an interactive one? I know they're phasing those out, but
they're phasing those out? I
thought so. I read a rumor. I don't keep up on Universal news as much as Disney news.
Huh, I actually didn't know that. But yeah, I am not sure what the price difference is of those, but the thing that I like is I mentioned Glow with the Show because they are incorporating these MagicBand Plus into the nighttime spectaculars like Harmonious and Disney Enchantment, which I think that that's kind of cool and makes more sense because the problem with Glow with the Show is you didn't get to see it was for everybody around you, but not for you because it was sitting on your head, whereas this you'll actually be able to enjoy, and it's pretty cool. It's cool when you're like at a concert. See, this is the problem with them, right? Like, it's a cool thing when everybody has one, but obviously everybody's not going to buy into it. So it'll be cool for the night that they decide to shoot the commercial and they give them to everybody for that moment. And beyond that, it's like 10% of the audience will have them.
There's actually a Coldplay tour that did something like that.
Yeah.
My roommate worked at it.
Yeah, I remember at the Hollywood Bowl, I think it was Coldplay that They had the wristbands, and that was like kind of the beginning of that. And I love that technology. I think it's cool. I think it's really great. It's just like, it's only really great if everybody's part of it. And, when you add an additional price tag on, maybe they should just like not charge for parking since there's no trams, or you give it $30 for parking and then they give you a MagicBand Plus. That way everybody can have one. How about that?
Well, I'm interested to see how they integrate it, and because they're supposed to be coming to Disneyland. They're going to be at Walt Disney World first. So I assume that the same game will come to Galaxy's Edge, but we don't have statues. We have daytime spectaculars, but I wonder what other, probably stuff in Toontown is my best guess. They're probably going to integrate as much as they can there.
Yeah, that's a good guess. And I'm sure Fantasmic and World of Color, and probably fireworks. And maybe the Main Street Electrical Parade would actually be kind of fitting, I feel like, for this sort of tech. Although, let me rephrase that. Paint the Night would be very fitting for this type of tech.
There you go.
So, yeah, so it's all coming. I am not the customer for this. It's doesn't excite me very much, but apparently there are people who do like it. So there's that.
The designs are nice. Like, I've seen some of the designs that they've released, and I like the look of them.
Are they a watch as well, or no?
I don't think so. Not that I know of, but maybe.
They should have done that.
But I like using a MagicBand anyway. So if it's under $40 or around $40, I'd probably buy one.
Alrighty. I probably will not. I'm trying to think what they could do that would make me want one. I'm curious, like, what sort of interactivity would excite me, and I don't know what it is. Like, they showed people using it, they had it on their wrist and they'd wave to those statues, and then the character would say something back, but it's like, you gotta wave in a really kind of oddly specific way at an oddly specific distance, and it's not like, hey, you're walking by, and I get it, it's technology, it's not like this simple stuff that just works because you want it to, but I don't know, it's clunky to me, and therefore I'm like, oh, well, there goes the magic. Like, if it's clunky, what's the point?
Well, what I thought was interesting, I know a long time ago they were talking about having, or not talking about it, but there was like a patent for technology that would be able to kind of sense like how the riders were reacting to the thing, so they could kind of customize it. And even if they just put that into the MagicBand, so like going back to Cosmic Rewind, we've heard reports that some people are getting motion sick. So if there was a way that they could like tone down the ride for people, if it's in your profile, I think that'd be a good use of it. I don't know why that would need to be in a Plus as opposed to a regular, but still, like, I think that that's something that's worth exploring.
Well, the problem with that is it would affect the entire ride vehicle, right? So if one person's getting motion sick, you're screwing the ride up for the rest of the people.
Yeah, I don't know how you solve it exactly. I guess it would just need to be whatever type of ride vehicle where it doesn't do that.
Here's what we need. We need a detector on it that can tell how hot and clammy you are, and it just starts getting ice cold around your wrist.
There you go. Actually, I mean, you're not far off, because one of the ways that you can apparently alleviate motion sickness has something to do with like grabbing your wrist or something on your wrist. So you're not.
There we go. I like that. There we go. Excellent. Let's, before we move on to the next story and the final story, I just want to remind folks that they can find magically inspired apparel over on Who's It's and What's It's, featuring the deep cut Disney merch that Disney fans love. And the good news is that DCTC listeners can save 15% off of their entire order, not just one item, simply by using discount code DCTC when checking out. From hats to t-shirts, pins, beanies, pennants, and so much more, there's a lot to discover at Who's It's and What's It's, so simply click on the link in this episode's description and don't forget to use discount code DCTC to save. Now, over at Disneyland Resort, throughout the month of June, they will continue to celebrate soulfully as they highlight Black Music Month. One of the main elements of the celebration is the return of the Tale of the Lion King. So Celebrate Soulfully is still happening. I did a press event for that back in February, but apparently for Black History Month, and now apparently it's back for Black Music Month, which, is this a first for them? I think so.
As far as Disney celebrating it, yes.
Yeah. So we got this show before at Disney California Adventure, Tale of the Lion King. And the heart of the production is a traveling troupe known as the Storytellers of the Pride Lands. And they weave the tale of how a cub becomes a king through dialogue, song, dance, and percussion. This is going where Mickey and the Magical Map used to be in the Fantasyland Theater. So, it's another like temporary show. We're not getting a full-fledged stage production back, it seems like anytime soon, unfortunately. But I guess it's better than an empty stage, right?
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely an upgrade for the show itself because that venue last time, like I think people enjoyed the show for what it was, but just being in the direct sunlight
Yeah.
and being on that weird little, like it's not meant to be, it's a stage technically, but it's like, it's for seating for something else.
It's for World of Color, yeah. They put a little temporary stage up, and they do a lot of performances there during like all the festivals and stuff, but it is certain times of day you're just in the sunlight. So this will be nice. This has actual seating, it's shaded, and maybe they'll up the production value a little bit. That would be nice if that were the case.
It looks like they're going to give them like an actual like stage design and stuff. So yeah. It might just be a backdrop and some props, but I think hopefully it's something worth seeing.
Yeah, and this all starts on May 28th. And I should also mention that also on May 28th, the neighboring Troubadour Tavern will return with new menu items inspired by the show. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that as well. And I only recently learned that that place is called Troubadour Tavern. So basically between the restrooms and the theater, you have Troubadour Tavern.
I knew that because back in the day, before it moved to like Harbor Galley, that's where I get that barbecue chicken baked potato, which was, I don't know if it still is, but it was an outstanding value at the time.
All righty. Cool. Excellent. Well, that's the news this week. Anything you want to add before we head out of here?
I don't think so.
All righty. Well, Kyle, I will see you next time.
Bye.
To read more about any and all of the stories you've heard here today, simply visit the show notes link in this episode's description. You've heard the news, and now I want to hear what you have to say about it. What do you think of MagicBand Plus? Does it sound like something that you'll buy into? Share your thoughts on that or any other topics mentioned in today's episode. Call 818-860-2569, and you may just hear yourself on a future episode of Disney Coast to Coast. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Don't miss any future episodes by subscribing and following Disney with a Z, Coast to Coast on your favorite podcast app. Now, this episode has been executive produced by Robert Scontrino. Gain rewards like Robert, including access to never-before-heard episodes and live-stream Q&As by visiting the Patreon link in this episode's description. And don't forget that I'll be matching 100% of your first month subscription to the Make-A-Wish Foundation for all new patrons joining this month, May of 2022. Basically, anything you need can be found in this episode's description, from additional information and links discussed in the episode found in the show notes, to the DCTC hotline where you can leave a voicemail and be heard on a future episode, access to the show's official website, some free gifts from me to you, and so much more. So be sure to check out this episode's description. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. This podcast is part of the DePodcast Network. Learn more about this show, plus find more quality and entertaining podcasts at DePodcastNetwork.com. That's DEPodcastNetwork.com.